Okay, lads, massive London derby coming up this week. Tottenham hosting Chelsea. It's going to be a big one. I'll be on site in North London for that for Pro Soccer Talk. Cannot wait to be there. Andy Edwards, going to come straight to you first of all. Pochettino coming back to Spurs as the Chelsea manager. Be interested to see what kind of reaction he gets. I think it'll be generally quite positive, but there could be a few boos in there as well, given that he's joined Spurs' bitter rivals, Chelsea. But it's going to be interesting to see how he's kind of, I guess, approaching this game with Chelsea, given that them and Spurs are in very, very different places right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I would hope that it's a very positive reception and welcome back for Pochettino. One, this is something that, especially as for managers, you have a long career, as some of them do, 20, 30 years. There's going to be some crossover to rival clubs potentially. And also, I know there is a section of Spurs fans that are a little upset over some comments that he made in the summer. Let it go. He was let down by the club at the end of his tenure as manager of Tottenham, and I think he's a little bit upset about some of that and the way that things ended, the fact that he wasn't able to see out the project that he began and that meant so much to him as well, and obviously meant a ton to Spurs fans, the 2 or 3 year at the end run that they had under Pochettino and the successes that they had reaching the Champions League final. I have nothing but incredible memories of the Mauricio Pochettino years at Tottenham. It would have been nice had they been settled into the new stadium and had, kind of maybe the squad that they've got now and the plan in place from the top down with a manager like that in place, but they didn't. And so they failed him to a degree. But yeah, this is the modern game now. I think we're going to see a lot more of this where, and Chelsea have always kind of been that club as well, where they're not afraid to hire or sign players from rival clubs as well. So let it be. Welcome Pochettino back. I'm just terrified that Spurs have an unbeaten start on the line when he comes back, because the narratives set up almost too perfectly, don't they?
They do, but a positive spin on that is obviously, Nick, that Ange Ball has been brilliant so far. Great balance to the team. And I think now the next step is another big win. Can they get it? But can it be by a large scoreline? Because a lot of their victories this season have been very tight. They've made it even more complicated for themselves than the actual general play suggests. They've dominated a lot of games, but just haven't taken chances to score 3, 4, 5 goals yet in most instances. So do you think they can actually do that against Chelsea and put down a bit of a marker? Because doing it against Chelsea, against Pochettino, one of their big rivals, and when everyone's looking at them with this unbeaten run on the line, that, again, seems like it would be a big marker and a big statement to make to kind of underline what Ange has done so far.
Let me start here. As a neutral, Joe, Andy, I don't have skin in this game. Monday in the United States of America afternoon, to have Chelsea and Tottenham on my screen, two teams that like to play football. This is proof of deity. Alert the scientists and the theologians. Someone loves us, because I can't wait for this game. I think these teams are so much closer together than people realize. The project has just started with a razor fine finishing from Spurs. And if you look at the numbers, you're talking about two teams that are both around +7 in expected goals. Tottenham's been a little bit better in expected points. The difference is Tottenham has just found it. Youngmin's son has essentially been, we love to do this, right? To take the nationality and move. He's the South Korean Harry Kane. He is doing a lot of the things that Kane does, which is amazing. And Ange has given him that confidence. He's given him that role. And that's it. 100% is the difference between Tottenham starting the Ange Ball era, killing it. The tactics have been amazing. We've dealt with that a lot, so I'm not glossing over that. Heung-min Son has been incredible. James Maddison as well. Heung-min Son's been incredible. Chelsea has not had Heung-min Son.
Yeah, on that I'll say Son has allowed Spurs to transition into the Ange era, whereas Pochettino, without a player like that, a key figure, a leader, a goal scorer, all of those things kind of rolled into one. They have just had to start the Pochettino era. They couldn't ease into it, and I think that's where a lot of the early season, at least, the luck on Spurs side, the luck not on Chelsea side, I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
I can't wait for this game. I can't. Yeah. This is going to be amazing.
It's going to be a beauty. It's going to be a beauty. But you're right on the finishing point. I mean, that player for Chelsea is Christopher Nkunku, right? And he's been out injured. So if you had him in this team, I think Chelsea would be a lot closer to Spurs heading into this big London derby. And I mean, the confidence for me is an issue with Chelsea right now. It's just the scoring and the mentality of taking chances is something that you can't really do much about as a coach. You can't really work on that in training any more than you usually do. That is just something where a player feels it or has it in a certain moment. And a lot of the Chelsea strikers right now, be it Sterling or Nicholas Jackson, they just get into the final third and it just isn't quite happening for them right now, and consistently as well. And they're getting punished by teams, as we saw in their defeat against Brentford last time out. So Pochettino's coming out, is defending his players. As we said, it's still early in the project and they've got a lot of injuries. I like what I see from them defensively, generally, in the midfield. Caicedo, Fernandes, Gallagher. I think a very good sort of trio and a good combination and mixture there. But that said, Nick Mendola, if Pochettino loses this one, is he under a little bit of pressure already, or is that just way, way too early, given all those things I just talked about?
I don't think he should be. Honestly,
Chelsea, though.
Yeah, look, I get it. That's the thing, but Chelsea still has a chance to prove that this is a reset. That you don't want to swing this into what's going on. I know it's different, but you don't want to swing this in a Ten Hag direction. I think Chelsea is largely fine. There have been a lot of ingredients here. There are not a lot of Mauricio Pochettinos out there. There just aren't. And to give someone the keys to the kingdom and to put him under pressure, let alone make a move 3-4 months into it. And I'll tell you what, watching those Premier League Summer Series games, and Nkunku, I know it's preseason, but Jackson was better around Nkunku. Sterling was better around Nkunku. He does both things. He does some things. He does assists and scores. He is a complete type of attacking presence. And until Mauricio Pochettino has that guy out there, I have a hard time judging him. So, no, I just don't think so. I think it would be among the worst decisions to be made in the Premier League in the last decade if he was gone, even if he was under serious pressure. They're going to be fine. They are.
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham are going to be more than fine, Andy. Ange Postecoglou said, I'm ahead of this game. He said, I'm not so much a dreamer. I'm more about in the reality of the day-to-day. But if our fans want to dream about winning a title and stuff,
these two are going to have such a good conversation after the game. They are so out there and philosophical and deep, and I love them both for it, by the way. But they are, in a lot of ways, actually, just kind of with different styles of football. They take, I think, a lot of the same mentality and mindset and apply it to the team. These two are meant for each other. They
are. And when they meet, what do we think the score's going to be then, Andy? I want to come to you first, mate.
It's going to be a bit of an ugly game, I think, because I think that's kind of the equalizing thing that Chelsea have right now is they can foul a bit. And I mean, we've seen Spurs and Chelsea games with Pochettino on the other side become yellow card parties for everybody. I don't think it quite descends all the way into that, but it's going to be, I think you see the Chelsea players fight for Pochettino and fight for their manager in this game, almost that siege mentality that we talk about sometimes. And I don't exactly know that Spurs are quite ready for that as of yet under Postecoglou, just because they're a little bit tentative, I think, a little bit hesitant in everything that they do, and it's just not quite as sharp and quick as it needs to be. And I think that maybe gets them in trouble in this game a little bit. So I'll go 1-1, but it will be incredible theater, incredible drama, but probably not the best actual football on the field.
I'm going to go 2-2. I think that I spoke to Conor Gallagher recently after their draw against Arsenal, and even the way that they coughed up those points, he kind of embodies, right, what you think about when you think of a Pochettino team. And to somebody who has been wearing the armband in the absence of Reece James and Ben Chilwell, that spirit that you mentioned there, I think Chelsea do have that. And for a game of this magnitude and this kind of scrap that it's probably going to turn into, I do fancy Chelsea's chances of going into Tottenham and getting something. But it's still going to be a lot of intriguing little tactical battles when you look out wide in particular, and how much Spurs push on and leave themselves exposed. I think Chelsea are quite well suited to try and make the most of that. But then, are they going to take the chances? I think that's the big question. So I'm going for a draw, and I think these two teams, when all is said and done at the end of the season, I think we'll end up very, very close to each other on the table. I think we might kind of see that in this game on Monday. Nick, what about your prediction, mate?
Yeah, it's funny. We won't say this a lot in the Ange or Pochettino eras, but I would say bet the under here. This fixture for me, if you ask me about Chelsea Tottenham, I'm going to tell you, well, it's raining. They lead the league in like fights between these two. This game is always scrappy. So I'm going to go with 1-1 as well. But I think this has the potential to be an Enzo Fernandez game, because Tottenham, this midfield battle will be just intriguing. Two very good, fun, fight-filled midfields. This is going to look like a late 90s game, the kind of game that we hear romanticized so often overseas. Can't wait. Maybe I'm as excited as I have been for a game this year.
Yeah, well, we all are. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk at NBCSports.com for all the latest ahead of this big London derby. Tottenham hosting Chelsea in North London. Let's see if Ange Ball can stay unbeaten, or if Mauricio Pochettino can go and get a big win against his former employees. Whatever happens, Tottenham against Chelsea always seems to deliver drama, and that will surely be the case once again this week.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.